Welcome everyone to our event, The Power of Mentoring, hosted at the beautiful office space of our partners, New Work SE. My name is Madis, and this is my wonderful co-founder, Tanya. We actually founded the Female Factor 3 years ago here in Vienna, and this is our 6th mentoring batch, so we're very excited. It's always great.
And it's one of the first events we actually can celebrate again, right? The last time we also had a rooftop happening, and then that's it, the pandemic hit. So very excited to be back here in person. And yes, mentoring is at the core of what we do at the Female Factor. I don't know if all of you know, but we're on a mission to close the gender leadership gap, and mentoring has been proven to actually help. So very excited to welcome you all here today and to talk a bit more about the power of mentoring. And this year, in case you didn't check our website yet, we have over 200 mentors joining from all over the world and actually giving back to the next generation and sharing their advice. And I mean, we too are one of the best examples, I think, what mentoring can do and how powerful it is. So our call to action is definitely make use of it, make a lot of connections today, and enjoy the event with us.
So as Tanya mentioned, our mission as the Female Factor is to close the so-called gender leadership gap. We want to see more diverse representation in rooms where decisions are being made. And everything we do, we want to contribute to a diverse future of work. That's also why we work with companies such as New Work SE, who are hosting us today. And we are really happy that New Work SE is actually starting their own in-house mentoring program. And we're very, very happy to support them as a partner in setting up this program.
They're also hiring?
They're also hiring. Also, if you're interested in setting up your own internal mentoring program, feel free to reach out to our colleague Lisa. She's over here in a white blazer. She's also available online. She's basically everywhere. You can always reach her and ask her questions.
So what can you expect from today? We are almost done with our introduction, and then Louise, our wonderful mentoring lead, if you've been in touch with her already, most likely, will take over to lead through today's conversation. And after that, we'll be networking. So this is the other core of what we're doing at the Female Factor, connecting people. So really, really make use of it. I think a lot of you did already when you were waiting outside to be let in. So great to hear. And if you're a little shy and an introvert like me, there is some networking cards around, so you can, find some discussion points to kind of skip the awkward silence. Or you just approach any of our team members and they're doing some introductions for you. So really take this away from today. Try to make connections that can really be helpful in your career.
Okay, before we get started, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the current situation in my second home country, Iran, where a lot of women are bravely fighting for freedom and choices in all aspects. I don't know if you know, but Iran has 60% female university graduates and strong women who are fighting for equal rights and opportunities, just like we all deserve equal opportunities also in the workplace here. So I just want to remind us all how privileged we are to be here today, and please make use of your power, make use of the opportunities you have, make use of the talent you have. We as the Female Factor are here to see you move forward in your career, and we really need all hands on deck. And lastly, take the chance, apply for a mentor. We've seen substantial impact on a woman's career through mentoring. We've seen 5 times higher promotions with our mentees, but also great friendships that came out of the mentoring relationships. But you'll hear more about the benefits of mentoring from our wonderful panel. And now I'd actually like to hand over to Alina from New Work SE, our hosts today, before we start with the panel with Louise. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alina. I work in employer branding here at New Work, and me and many, many of my colleagues, as I can see now, are happy to welcome you at our office here. New Work is home to Xing, Kununu, and also our new brand Onlyfy, and we're really happy to meet all of you in the evening. And without further ado, over to Lise.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for the welcoming words, and thank you all for joining us this evening. I would like to start off by asking everyone some questions. Raise your hand if you've ever felt lost in the direction of your career. Ooh, full house. Raise your hand if you are uncertain about the direction in which you're to move forward in your career. Again, a lot of hands. I hope there are a lot of hands raising online as well. We'll be watching. Hands up if you don't know or never known who to ask for help in solving the first two questions. Yeah, Z. So keeping that in mind, I was also like everyone like you. My career journey to date has been a ride where mentoring has figured in various ups and downs. So I also felt this way at the beginning when I was at university. I studied social science, having everyone told me, oh, what are you going to do with that? How are you going to get a job with social science? You know, a McDonald's hiring. And a lot of uncertainty, and I was very lucky to encounter a mentor in my first role, in my first internship. A mentor who helped me realise that there is a career for those of us who study social science and with an arts degree, and that you can have a very productive career. She taught me how to utilise those skills and develop them in a workplace, and ultimately that was the springboard into my first role after university, my first full-time job. The second kind of area of my career was when I moved to Europe, and that was a real time of change. I decided to change careers. I ended up in a new country, and ultimately my plan to change careers didn't turn out the way I wanted to. And for a very long time, I felt adrift. I felt very lonely. I felt very isolated. And I really wish that I had a mentor to help me guide through that change. And now that brings me to now, where I am in this wonderful role with the Female Factor. I am growing within this position, this program, this company. I'm developing myself in this city and in this industry. And I'm also now starting to think about what's next. How am I going to grow in the future? And I feel far more confident because in this stage, I have a mentor. 200 to choose from. Thanks, Tanya. But no, I've also been a participant in our own mentoring program. And what has been the common trait with that is that I can definitely feel the difference between having a mentor and particularly not having a mentor had on my career development to date. So with that in mind, I'd like to call upon our wonderful mentors and mentee to join us on the panel today. I would like to call up Judith Dobertsberger, our Startup and Partnerships Lead at Google Austria. I would like to call up Bronwyn Moore, our second mentor, who is the Austrian Head of International Department of Trade in the British Embassy. And I would like to call up our mentee, our representative mentee for this evening, Judith Pinkas. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Please, I invite you to take a seat. Just before we get started, particularly for everyone joining us today, I'm sure you have plenty of questions to ask our wonderful panellists. You'll notice for our in-person, for our participants here in Vienna, that there is a QR code plastered all over the venue. This links to our wonderful platform called Slido, where you are able to submit your questions for our panellists. And you can upvote if someone's already asked a question that you really like the sound of, upvote it, and we know exactly what you want to hear from our wonderful panellists. For those of you joining us online, the QR code or the link should be displayed on your screen right now. So let's get into it. Where are my cue cards? One moment. Of course, this goes to everyone, for our panellists as well. If you want to jump in at any point to discuss any particular issues or have an opinion, please go for it. Go for it. Now I'm going to kick things off with you, Judith, particularly with your experience in Google. I know you also work with the I Am Remarkable program at Google. All of our Female Factor members, you can also sign up for this wonderful program designed to help you with self-promotion and confidence. Hashtag I am remarkable. So, sorry, I digress. I am remarkable, Google. So what does mentoring look like within Google and your experience with mentoring within Google?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. At Google, we have been working with the female factor for some years. And I was just saying to you, I think a while ago, I'm so impressed with the community, how, you know, all the great questions and how active you are. I think what you're doing is amazing. So thank you for that. And thanks for having me. And so that was the ad, now the content. So at Google, as you probably know, or you might have heard, the company culture is very, very open. So it is very normal that you reach out to people across departments, across levels. It's very appreciated and even encouraged to take lunch dates or coffee chats with other people. So I think the whole sharing and coaching each other is very much in the DNA of the culture. So what we do have, there is not like a fixed mentoring program. So it's not like you start and then there's a program that says, okay, and this is your mentor. But when you start at Google, what you get at the beginning is a buddy. So a buddy is here for you for the first few months, which can be quite overwhelming because the Google universe is complex, to say the least. But the buddy helps you through the first few months. And then there is what we call chi-to-chi coaches, so Googler to Googler coaches. So there is, you can check who is a coach within the company, and then it's really up to you to approach these coaches or these mentors and set up your own program, so whatever works for you. So at Google, I think what is it's very encouraged to reach out to other people and to be really a self-starter, so to really also own your own career. And everyone, there's no one who will say, no, I won't do it. Like everyone is very open and happy to help and to mentor. So I have a mentor, but it was a very organic process for me. And it's just, it's a lot about like what you make out of it. So there's not like a fixed program, but it depends a lot on your self initiative.
And that's a very good point. I think no matter what program and what opportunities that you have available to you, making the most of these opportunities, whether it's within your own company or whether it's through an opportunity like we have at Female Factor with our mentoring program, taking the opportunity to learn from these experts that are available to you. That said, Bronwyn, in your role with the International Department of Trade, the British Embassy, what are your experiences with mentoring within your organisation?
Yeah, thanks, Louise, and also thank you very much for inviting me here this evening as well. So I work for the Department for International Trade, which is the ministry in the UK responsible for global prosperity and UK prosperity through promotion of international trade and exports and championing free trade. And within this organisation, we have an overseas network, and I'm part of what's called the Europe Network. It's 34 countries, 350 people. And these overseas people work within the British embassies, high commissions, or consulates. So just to give you a bit of background information, because it's a little bit complicated. And within our Europe network, developing people is very important. It's highly promoted. And within our people strategy, active learning is one of our strategic 3 pillars. It goes alongside clear direction and inclusive culture. And within active learning, mentoring as well as coaching, job shadowing and secondments is promoted heavily. We have, actually it was accelerated in the pandemic, I have to say, but we have a mentoring program within DIT Europe. And it's similar to the program that the Female Factor is running. It runs sort of 4 to 6 months. You can apply to be a mentor or apply to be a mentee. The matchmaking process aligns skills, experiences, goals and aspirations. And this is the second year that we've had this running across our organization in Europe. I think the feedback has been really, really positive. People certainly see this as an opportunity to develop personally, to build their network, to gain support for their ideas. And I see that this model is actually now being rolled out in other networks across the globe within our organization. So definitely a positive step for us. Thank you.
It's fantastic, and it's great to see that you're seeing the impact already after 2 years of the program. Great to hear. Now, Judith, our other Judith here today. You're here to provide perhaps the most unique experience of everyone. You are our mentee to share your experiences today, and I know everyone will be very keen to hear about your experience specifically as a mentee. But when we think about mentoring as a journey, what were your main motivations behind applying for a mentor? So thinking back, what drove you to apply for mentoring in the first place?
So hi, also from my side. I have been a member with the Female Factor for 2 years actually, and I have been lucky that I am now on my second mentoring journey. But when I think back, when I first applied for a mentor, it was really, I was back then in a corporate job. I was just promoted to team lead. My team consists out of 5 men, and they were all around the age of 40. And obviously I was not the age around 40, I was 26 back then. And I was really thrown into that new position because my old boss left the company out of the blue. So it was from one day to another that I was a team member, and then I was a team leader, and I was responsible for the entire department. And my main focus at the beginning was, okay, just let's keep everything running, make sure everything works, make sure that the team spirit is kept high, everybody is doing their tasks and so on. And what I did is I just left everything as it was. So I took all the meeting structures that were established, everything, how we communicated, how we worked together, like my old boss did it. And then after a few months, I realized, okay, this is not who I am. This is not who I want to lead my team. This is not how I want to run my department. And then I was like, okay, but how do I change it? What do I do now? And I was, as I said, in a corporate job. I was in a headquarter department, so really big responsibility in a difficult environment because headquarter functions, they have to deal with a lot of politics and network in the company and how you talk to people and so on. And I was like, okay, I need somebody who knows what I'm talking about and who can help me, who maybe has went through the same challenges and so on. And then I just looked for a mentor with the Female Factor, and I was really lucky that I found actually one woman in the C-level of a big corporation, so she knows exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, she helped me to navigate my first big career change into a leadership position and really, get everything in the way that I want to be in my department, how I want to lead my department.
Woo! Thank you for sharing that, Judith. That's a really great insight. So your motivation through a career change, moving into a new role and wanting the support on how to thrive in this new role. Excellent motivation for mentoring if anyone's in a similar position. I want to kind of move back to the beginning, the journey. As I mentioned earlier, that the lack of mentoring was a big, I want to say, feeling in my career so far. And I want to kind of open it up to the panel and ask you in a similar vein about your journey and, more importantly, how important mentoring has been in your journey. So I want to start with Bronwyn on this one. How important has mentoring been in your career journey?
So, Louise, I think one of the reasons why I'm so in favour of promoting mentoring is probably because I didn't have a mentor when I first started out in my career. I worked for several years in fairly male-dominated industries and really large companies, and I know how challenging it is to kind of find your way when you're new and inexperienced and don't know anybody. So I think that certainly has changed for me now. I've been fortunate to have quite a number of really good mentors, both within my current organisation, but also within the wider UK government and also externally. And I think it's a really safe space. You create a really safe space to develop a relationship with somebody, where you can challenge yourself, where you can table some ideas, where you can talk about sticky situations and not feel uncomfortable or feel that someone's actually going to hold this against you and it's going to be a stone in your path to develop your career further. So Yeah, I think wonderful that you've got this up and running, and I can only support it and encourage everybody to sign up.
And yeah, what you've said rings so true. I'm very, very lucky in my role to be able to chat with so many wonderful leaders and bring them into our community as mentors. And it still astounds me to this day how many reflect what you've said, that like, I wish I had a mentor or something like this earlier on in my career. Or even some of them are like, can I apply? As a mentor, can I apply to have a mentee? And it still astounds me, all these wonderful, successful women, they're like, oh yeah, I wish I had a mentor. I wish I had a mentor. And it still absolutely surprises me.
It's kind of like me time, right? I mean, me time that you just don't have otherwise. And you set aside that hour or hour and a half every few weeks, and you can kind of reflect and move forward. So it's really important.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bronwyn. Now, Judith, you were telling me earlier about how you didn't start out in tech, and you never thought you would move into this area. So what inspired you to kind of move into this kind of tech career with Google?
Yeah, it's actually quite an interesting, it was an interesting journey for me at least. So I have a marketing background. I started out as a brand manager at Mondelez, so brands like Milka and Jacobs, those are the known brands. So I'm partly responsible for the fact that some Austrian kids think that cows are lilac. I'll take that, but I had a very classic marketing and branding background. I really liked it, but I wanted a change, and I was thinking to myself, if I do marketing now for Milka or Nivea or BMW, I wanted something different, and I would have needed a mentor back then. I didn't have one.
Well, that answers my next question. Did you have a mentor on this career change journey?
Back then, I didn't have a mentor, but I was definitely in a phase where I was reaching out to a lot of friends, events like that, networking a lot to find out like what my next move could be, like my next career move could be. And as I've said, I don't have a technical background. Back then, I didn't even have much experience in a digital area. So I would have never thought, I was like lacking this creativity, that I would ever work in a tech company. And then back then, a friend of mine just recently started at Google, and he approached me and he was like, hey, you would be a great fit for Google. Why don't you join Google? And I was like, what can I do at Google? Like, what kind of role could I have? And I mean, I've always heard, okay, Google is a good employer, but I had no idea what I could do. And then actually at that point, Google was looking for people who don't necessarily have a tech or digital background, but who understand the business side and the marketing side of it. So that was a great fit, and I started in a kind of like a key account role. I was working in the branding team, so working with FMCG companies and doing a lot of upskilling with them and helping them with their digital transformation, because I knew their like. My point of contacts were CMOs, marketing people, so I understood their perspective, and this is how I got to Google. But it's definitely a topic. I think. I mean, Maris mentioned it at the beginning, and especially in the tech industry, we need more women. We need more women in leadership positions, and I just want to like. For me, it was a real eye opener that tech doesn't mean you have to work in AI. In the tech industry, there are a lot of jobs, from project manager to, yes, something more techy, or a consulting role. So there's a really like a variety of jobs that is out there in the tech that is in the tech industry, and yeah, just be open and curious, and yeah, there are great jobs out there.
Thank you for sharing. It's very interesting, and I know it's intriguing for a lot of people how they can transition from one kind of career path, and also how these industries can be more inclusive, and you're not excluded from working in a digital or tech company just because that hasn't been your specific background to date. So
exactly,
thank you for assuring people that if they do want to change into these areas, there is a way and there is a path. Now, Judith, our second Judith. Spicy question for you. We're talking about leadership, the career journey, the development, reflecting on your time as a mentee. I lost my question. How embarrassing. Pursuing your new opportunity, you're on your journey. What role specifically did your mentors play in this new section of your journey, your career journey?
Okay, so first of all, I have now been talking about my successful change into a leadership position in a corporate company. But I also have to tell you that I just recently quit that corporate company. But it was not because of my poor leadership style or whatever. It was basically because I had a lovely mentor on my side who helped me a lot to tackle all the challenges in my new leadership position. But she always said to me, Judith, you need to create opportunities for yourself. You need to look after yourself and create opportunities for yourself. And when the opportunity arrives, you also need to take it. And that actually is what happened to me. So there was an opportunity came out of the blue to me, like my first leadership position. And this opportunity is to take over as CEO of a social media agency. This agency already exists in Switzerland and is now founding a subsidiary in Austria. And I have the trust and faith of the Swiss founder that I can be a CEO. And thank you.
We met at the party, right?
Exactly. We met
That's
at a
where the
party.
interview happened.
So don't underestimate networking. But basically, what my first mentor obviously played a role in that because she always told me you have to create opportunities. And then when I also told her about that career change, which sounds a little bit crazy because obviously I'm having this super great career in a corporate job and I have this safe job and I'm doing everything right. And then I'm jumping into a completely new business also because you have to know I was working in a logistics industry, mainly around project management, and I studied industrial engineering. So it's really a really big change of industry for me as well. And when I told her about that, she's also in the industry in a C-level, as I mentioned, and I was a little bit scared to tell her about that new idea because I thought maybe she thinks I'm crazy or whatever. Obviously, she did not think that. She was really like, you have to take this chance and you will do so great. And seeing her believing in me is just the best feeling in the world. And it's really what made me even more confident that I can take that challenge on. And I said I already quit, so I'm on the challenge and I'm on the journey. So I really have to say that my first mentor played a huge role. And yeah, thanks to my mentor and thanks to the Female Factor as well.
And honestly, this is the best part of my job. When I get to hear about all of the success that our mentees have, I'm so privileged to be able to join them on this journey and be part of it. And I get so excited when I receive those emails that, yes, of course, yay, I'm moving into a new job or I've boosted my career. But it's the other ones where like, I have such a boost of confidence after talking with my mentor. Oh, my mentor gave me such a new idea, a new perspective on things. I feel so much more assured to tackle things. And like, I get such a buzz and I'm always like telling our community, I'm like, oh my God, guess what our mentee message today. So this is the part of the journey that I really love. And I feel very privileged to be part of this and yeah, have a little peek inside the career journey that everyone has. So I just wanted to share
I'm also happy because I said at the beginning that I am having 2 mentors right now because I have. I continued with my first one, but as I saw the career change coming, I was looking for another mentor with expertise in social media marketing, and I also got a perfect fit with the Female Factor. And talking about perfect fit, my second mentor, we are sharing the same birthday, so you're really doing a good job.
Actually, this is a perfect segue into one of the audience questions that has just popped up. What should they look for when choosing a mentor? Is
Birthday.
Birthday, does that play a very big role? Yep. Any other things we should look for when we're looking for a mentor?
So what I basically did, I looked for people who have gone through what I'm going through. So that was my main point I was looking at because I want somebody that understands what I'm in, and that's also something I was lacking in my personal environment. Like I had nobody to talk to who knows what I'm going through, and that's what was my main criteria to look at.
Good to know. From my perspective, I would agree look at the experience. Also decide whether industry is important or role is important, or whether, again, it's just someone you want to talk to. If you kind of, rank your preferences in terms of wants in a mentor, this can also help you with choosing. If you really, really are keen on someone who is in marketing and, that's the most important tool, then use that as a guiding for choosing your mentor. If you just want someone who's in a executive level, use that as your guidance. If you just want someone to talk to, then also use that to make your decision. This is also a similarly related question from the audience, and I'm going to put this to both Judith and Bronwyn. What are you, as mentors, looking for in candidates when those applications are presented to you?
It's a good question. So, there are so many great applications, and it's really hard to choose, honestly. I'm really looking at where I think I can be the most generate the most added value. So I look a bit on the background, where they are, what they are looking for as in a mentor, what they want to get out of the mentorship, and that can be some are just looking for a sparring partner, and some come with a very concrete ask. At the moment, I have a mentee who is like, these are my goals, and in every session, I want this out of the session. Honestly, I'm quite impressed because because it's you can't get what you don't ask for, right? I think, and it's also okay if you just need a sparring session. But I like the way I go about is where do I think I can help the most. So based on my background, based on the network, and where would I think would be the best match.
Good to know. Yeah. Bronwyn, any further thoughts?
I think very similar to what Judith has said. I look to see how can I help this person. What industries is this person working in? What experience does this person have? What are the aspirations of this person? And I also try to see, okay, am I a realistic fit for this person also?
And I think, just to elaborate on what Judith also said, I think different mentors can be right at different points of time. So there's not one mentor that is right for you all the time, and vice versa, but it can change. Yeah.
That is another very good point, and I think that's also why having a 6-month program like we have at the Female Factor is really, really important, because it helps you to narrow down your goals and get the right mentor for that moment. You don't have to feel overwhelmed and find a mentor that ticks all of the boxes and tackle all your goals all at once. You can really break it down into, as I call it, building blocks, and use each batch as a building block, and utilize the expertise of our over 200 mentors. There's my plug right there. For sure. And this is an interesting point about, again, understanding how you can help mentees, how mentees can help you. There's a lot of discussion recently, and what we've also seen with our mentors is how surprised they are at the impact a mentee can have on them, and that mentoring really is a two-way street between mentee and mentors. So I've got a few kind of interesting points I'd like to hear from you all about that. So Judith, how do you feel, what is the biggest lesson a mentee has taught you over your time with us?
So much, and just as you said, it's a two-way street. I'm super impressed and super inspired, and I learn so much from my mentees. It's a great way. Most of them are in some kind of like a transformational phase. So they are asking themselves, and I'm asking them, all the hard questions. And it's also a really good way on how to reflect on on where I am, what my values are, and if I'm happy with what I'm doing and what is my next move. So it's really, honestly, quite from an egoistic point of view, it's also really good self-reflection for me. And then just the example that I gave before, with the mentee I'm currently having, she's so to the point and so very clear on what she wants. And she asks, and what I took away is you can't get what you don't ask for. So she's very knows very much what she wants, and this is okay. I take that away a lot.
Fantastic. And now Bronwyn, how do you feel? No, as a mentor, how do you feel being a mentor has impacted on your leadership skills and your managerial skills?
So I think, I personally have a lot of energy and I take really quick decisions. I think mentoring has taught me to be a much better listener, to slow down, to take on board what I am being told and to reflect and to consider and to ask questions before, kind of tearing forward and deciding and organising and putting everyone back into their positions. Definitely, I think that has helped me. I think also I guess it's all about, I guess it sort of all falls into kind of inclusion, empowerment, trust. And we do a lot of reverse mentoring also within our organisation. And, I think this is equally important. The mentees are also entitled, and I encourage them to also ask questions. And I think this is really has been very helpful. So I think, listening, slowing down, considering before rushing into things.
Fantastic.
If I can just step in.
Oh, absolutely.
It's lovely to hear that, because actually I was talking to Luis and I said, I feel that I don't give back to my mentors. I feel that I'm just they are just helping me so much, and I don't help them. And with my first mentor, I actually addressed this once, and she said, just talking to you made me realize so many things, and you really inspired me to be brave and take chances. And it's nice to hear you talking about that as well, because it's something that's in my mind constantly. Like, I need to give back. I need to, come up with a crazy story that changes your life. But I don't. I just have to talk about my problems, and then it helps you as well. But that's just really nice to hear.
Yeah, it's definitely two-way. And I find it fascinating to listen to my mentees, and I'm so inspired by them and their journeys and how confident they are at such young ages. Not that old, but still. Really, it's really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's really inspiring, and also like just getting feedback, like what has worked for you and what hasn't worked for you. Feedback is a gift, so that also helps me a lot to grow, honestly.
Fantastic to hear. Now I have a question from the audience, which I think Judith number 2 might be better place to answer.
Choose your Judith.
Choose your Judith. But I'm also interested to hear from Bronwyn and Judith as well, but I'm going to start with Judith. Do you prefer to meet your mentor in person or online? Considering you've had both experiences, I'm interested to hear.
So I can clearly say that I prefer to meet in person. It's one of the main differences I see in a mentoring relationship, that an in-person relationship is just completely different than an online relationship. I think it doesn't have to be true for anyone, everybody, but for me it definitely is. So I feel way more connected to my in-person mentor, and just sitting down with her, grabbing a coffee, it's a different feeling than sitting in front of your screen. And I would definitely recommend to look for an in-person mentor.
Yeah, I think both can work, and I personally quite like the balance. I think there are some things that are, quite easy to talk over the screen on, and it's certainly helpful in busy schedules when people are traveling and moving around, that it's not always practical to meet in person. But I apart from in that sort of the height of the pandemic, I think all of my mentees I did actually finally get to meet face to face as well, and that was so exciting. So I think a blend is good, but just to be mindful of busy schedules as well. Sometimes it's not always practical and possible, but yeah, both works.
Yeah, I agree. A mix is good. I personally also prefer the in-person meetings, especially for the first one. Like the first session, I usually hope to make a connection and get to know the mentee, and that's just easier when you meet the person face to face than online. Yeah.
This is interesting to hear, and I don't want that to discourage anyone because we do have a lot of wonderful mentors based all around the world, not just in Vienna, and also for you joining us all online. We do have mentors to connect with you all no matter where you are. But yes, I think it really does depend on if you need to decide that for yourself. Are you an in-person person or are you an online person, or are you happy for a combination? This is also something to consider when choosing your mentor as well. There are some of these criteria that came up, these questions came up before.
I think both works. It's just, preference. Yeah.
And maybe it's also the goal you have with your mentor. So if you're really going to a personal growth journey where you're really discovering yourself, then probably in-person is better. If you're looking for more topic advice or industry advice, then I think also online is a good choice.
Thank you for those tips. I think there's one last question I want to ask from the audience, and then I think we can move on to the fun part, the wine and food part of the evening. What would be your advice if you want to completely change the sector or industry that you're working in? Considering we have at least two people who have done that. Judith, do you want to start with that one?
I think just talk with as many people as you can, like find out, there's so many jobs out there, so many different industries, like the world is full of opportunities. So talk with as many people as you can, try to understand also what you like and what your worth is and what you are good at and what you're passionate about. And at best, it's a mix or the biggest overlap of what you're good at and what you're really passionate about. I think this is where the beauty and the sweet spot lies. But if you're in a transformational phase, talk to as many people as possible, ask them questions. I always had, I'm not an introvert, but networking always had a negative association with to me. I was like, that's so exhausting. Like I have to perform and I have to, make an impression. But it's not networking. It's like, hi, I'm Judith. I'm really interested in your job. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? So something like that. So talk to as many people, get as many different perspectives as possible, and don't be shy.
Good to know. And a good tip for chatting with Judith later.
Yes, please.
And Judith.
So I completely agree with Judith. And
we don't have the same birthday, I think.
And for me personally, I was also evaluating the risk. How risky is it to change careers? And for me, basically, I found out it's not that risky because I can find a new job. And if the risk is low, then I would just advise to go for it and try it because you only learn with experiences. And I think you need to try many different things in life. And that's my advice, really.
Any final thoughts, Bronwyn?
Yeah, I mean, I've worked in lots of different industries as well, from paper and packaging, logistics, consulting. For a brief period of time, I was working in the sporting industry, and now I'm in diplomacy and commerce and politics. So I think it's not that difficult to change industries. I think you need to work on your skills and what skills can you transfer, because let's be honest, I mean, skills are very transferable regardless of which industry you work in. But I agree with what the others have said. Yes, activate your network, do your research, figure out what the companies could be that you would like to work with, and get out there.
And maybe also take off the pressure of yourself that the next job has to be the perfect one. If it's not, then you move on. Like, there are so many opportunities out there.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just finding a stepping stone into the industry, and then proving yourself from within is possibly easier than, moving from one industry to the next and trying to do the jump at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you for those tips. Now, final, last, very, very quick question to round out this evening. What is the final piece of advice you have to give the audience on choosing the right mentor?
The right mentor. I would say be really curious. Listen to your intuition, like listen to what's connecting with you, and think about what you want out of this mentorship. Like, is it you want advice on a certain industry, or is it you want just a general sparring partner? So these are the two things I would advise. So intuition, where you have a connection, because at the end that's what counts, and what you want out of the mentorship.
Yeah, I think ask yourself, do you want to spend a lot of time with this person regularly? Because if you don't, then don't go there.
It's true. It's a good tip. Judith, having chosen 2 mentors already.
Actually, I followed the advice that I just heard, and that would also basically be it. I mean, I mentioned it before. For me, it was always somebody who understands what I have been going through, to have the similarity in what I'm experiencing. That was the most important thing for me.
Thank you all. And with that, I'm going to take the time to wrap up this evening's session. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you, Judith. And it was absolutely amazing to hear your insights so far. And I should also point out both Judith and Bronwyn are available as mentors for our upcoming autumn mentoring batch. Shameless plug. Now it's time to thank our wonderful team. I'd love to thank the team from the Female Factor, first and foremost, not in particular our wonderful event lead, Marina, and community lead. You all know and love her. Give her a big cheer. I'd love to thank Kelly and Nergis, who are supporting us online. You'll be chatting with them shortly. I would like to thank Nat for all of our wonderful visuals, the wonderful people at Broadcasten for helping us today. Of course, the lovely Tanya and Martis, without whom this wouldn't be possible at all. And the rest of our wonderful, awesome team at the Female Factor. Please, everyone, give them a huge round of applause. And of course, this today couldn't have gone ahead without our wonderful partners at New Work SE. So give them a big round of applause. And Alina, thank you very much. The whole team, you've been wonderful. You've been so helpful setting all of this up, all of our last minute printing and moving of furniture around. You guys have been absolutely wonderful and super helpful. With that, I have a wonderful, exciting announcement before I let you all go and enjoy your evening. We are extending our mentoring application deadline. So everyone has another 7 days. We'll be keeping applications open until the 7th of October. Get your mentoring applications in. It's our special gift to you for all of you joining us here today. So get your applications in. Woo. Yeah. Now we are moving to our wonderful networking part of the evening. For those of you who are joining us online, Kelly and Nergis will be available for you in the Zoom sessions. You can use the link that's in the, I believe, in the YouTube streaming, or it's in your calendar invite, or in the email you received. So yeah, please make your way over now to the Zoom networking breakout sessions. There's lots of wonderful people to chat with, and I believe we'll also be joined by some of our wonderful Female Factor mentors online. For those of you who are staying with us here in Vienna, we've got lots of wonderful activities happening in amongst all of our networking, not just the wonderful snacks that we have set up for you at the back of the room. We have some amazing mentors here with us this evening as well for you to chat with. In addition to Bronwyn and Judith, they have a wonderful name tag around a lanyard on them, so you'll be able to identify them pretty quickly. Marina, our wonderful community and events lead, is also running around with a Polaroid camera, so taking happy snaps of all of us. So if you want a nice memory to take home with you this evening, please find Marina. She'll be happy to capture your best angles. Also, if you're interested in helping our marketing and communications team, Dorian and Nat have a little TikTok project that we would love your help with. So Dorian is waving at the back of the room there in the bright blue blazer. You cannot miss him. So please make your way over to him if you're intrigued to find out more about what we're planning to do with TikTok. So that said, another huge thank you to our wonderful panel, Judith, Bronwyn, Judith. Please give them a round of applause, everyone. Thank you, and a big round of applause to all of our wonderful audience. Thank you for joining us this evening. And I look forward to reading all your mentoring applications. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you again.